The clock. The next question, the member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Attorney General. The rule of law means that governments, and even I must remind the members across this one, should follow the law, just like every Ontarian is required to do on a daily basis. It's a basic principle of justice and how we function as a civil society. And, Speaker, it's a principle this Attorney General is sworn to uphold. So that's why it's so concerning that this government is ripping up contracts and ignoring the rule of law, all for beer. In fact, the Canadian-American Bar Association wrote the Attorney General an urgent letter and said this government will, and I quote, undermine the rule of law. The Attorney General's job is to uphold the rule of law. Has she spoken to the Premier about these serious concerns?
The question is addressed to the Attorney General.
To the Minister of Finance.
Heard to the Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much. You know, Speaker, we continue to...
Okay, I'd ask the Minister of Finance to sit down. I apologize to interrupt. The rules of the House allow any minister to refer any question to another minister. And what they're doing is completely within the standing orders. Order. Minister of Finance to reply.
Speaker, I'll begin like I begin this answer all the time. Most people in the province of Ontario are not aware that the government does not own the beer store. It is not like LCBO that we do own and that great brand. The beer store is owned by 3 global multinationals. They were given a sweetheart deal by the Liberal government. They put profits, the Liberal government put profits ahead of people, a deal that's terrible for the consumers, a deal that's killing competition, a deal that's keeping prices high, and the deal that's stifling the craft brewers. Speaker, international companies understand our parliamentary system. They know a new government isn't bound by bad legislation.
The supplementary question.
To the Attorney General, and clearly the Attorney General will not take responsibility for the severity of what she's doing. Again, all for beer. Our international reputation as a place to do business is going down in flames. The Ontario Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce say this legislation hurts Ontario's investment climate. The Canadian-American Bar Association says this is an attempt to override the law of contracts. They don't mince words at all, Mr. Speaker. They warn this legislation will create uncertainty, risk upsetting a functioning legal system, and says there isn't precedent for ridiculous legislation like this in Canadian legal history. This plan is so reckless, it's now an international embarrassment. Why is the Attorney General willing to put Ontario down in the history books as ignoring the rule of law?
The question's been referred to the Minister of Finance.
So thank you again. For the member, international companies completely understand that in our parliamentary system, they know that a government isn't bound by legislation from a previous government. If that were the case, this afternoon we could pass a brand new piece of legislation that would disallow tax increases in Ontario for the rest of time. But we know that our governments don't work that way. Things simply don't work like that. On the international front, we have heard from Fitch, bond rating agency, just last week after they heard about our new legislation, and they gave our province an upgrade, their first upgrade in 8 years. That tells us, Speaker, that our plan is working, that our legislation is respected, and, Speaker, we will take no lessons on legislative procedure from that government.
Off the clock. Order.